Good morning, Heather here, and I am going to be bringing you your daily devotion. So we finished up the book of Acts, and now we're headed into Romans. So today we are going to be looking at Romans 1, verses 18 through 32. And so, not gonna lie, I had to read this a couple times because sometimes I get so caught up in the beauty of God's love for us and redemption and all of that I forget about our own sinful natures. And so this was kind of a reminder of the difference between living for Christ and living a life away from Christ. And so I want us to take a look at a few verses starting in 21. For although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him, but their thinking became futile and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal human beings and birds and animals and reptiles. Therefore, God gave them over in the sinful desires of their hearts. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshiped and served and created things rather than the Creator, who should forever be praised. And in here, Paul is not talking to a specific group when he says this. Rather, he's talking about the individuals of all of us who have the potential to fall away from God. Because we live in a fallen world. And until Jesus returns, we will always remain in a sinful world. And so I want us to take a look at what it means to live a life for Christ versus what it means to not. And so when we don't live a life for Christ, we often find ourselves trusting in ourselves and others and filling voids in our heart rather than filling ourselves and our hearts up with God. And when we do that, our hearts become hardened. We fall into addictions. We fall into our sinful nature. But when we're living a life for Christ, we find that we are so desperate in need of a Savior, that we fall in love with him. We want to tell others about him, and we want to read his word. We want to connect with him and talk with him daily. And then we find in our hearts that we are living a life for Christ. And so that today is my prayer for you, that you realize that we are dead to ourselves, that we are nothing without Christ, but we are alive in him. I actually have that tattooed on my arm because that's what I try to remember every day, and that's what I pray for you. So go on and have a blessed day, friends.